Storm Bowling Products, the Bowlers Company presents the Storm Collegiate Spotlight with Steve Klemkin and Tim Berg. Storm's Executive Director of Marketing and Above180.com's Tim Berg are going to introduce a variety of collegiate players, coaches, and key people involved in promoting the sport of bowling. Now, here's Coach K and Tim Berg.
Joining us on the Storm Collegiate Spotlight podcast is Marshall Kent. Marshall is a two-time Collegiate Player of the Year for Robert Morris. He also was the 2011-2012 Collegiate Rookie of the Year. Marshall has 4 PBA titles. Marshall, it's Tim Berg and Coach K, Steve Klemkin. Thanks for joining us today.
For having me.
Marshall, I'm curious to know, as you're bowling out there on tour, is there anyone that you look at and watch bowl and think, wow, they have the same similar game as what I do when I came out, when I first was that first year on tour for me back in 2013-14?
I haven't really thought of any players in that sense because I feel like for me, everyone's, their own unique form and their own unique game that they develop off of. So I really haven't ever thought of anyone as the next so-and-so, like the next Chris Barnes or the next Tommy Jones, because I've just always felt like, each individual deserves that unique distinction, So, but I mean, I've been to a couple of college tournaments in the recent months, and so there's some up and coming talent that's gonna be on tour in no time. It's a lot of the younger guys are getting much better, much quicker. So I'm really excited to see the talent that comes out in the next 4 or 5 years.
Well, that's cool. Are you keeping your eye on maybe Robert Morris' team, kind of your alma mater, or are you just kind of checking out what some of the younger action is? And then what are you seeing difference-wise now in, coming back as an observer now versus from when you were actually competing down there as a collegiate player? What are the differences you've seen or similarities even?
Yeah, well, I keep in touch with my coach at Robert Morris, DJ, all the time. Call and see how the team's doing and everything like that. So I definitely do my best to keep up to date with their results. And what was the second part of that question again? I'm sorry.
That's all right. No, I was just wondering if when you're seeing down there, as you're watching it now that you've been out on tour for quite some time, were you able to notice any either similarities or differences? Like when I was in college, our team did this and they don't do that, or are they doing, is there any kind of just the flow and the way that maybe they compete and communicate, or even the way they play the lanes? Is there any differences or similarities?
I feel like because I'm really not too long removed from college that I see a lot of similarities. I actually get a lot of flashbacks watching them, kind of seeing how they make adjustments, how they communicate, and watching who's paying attention to every shot. I see a lot of similarities from back when I was in school, and I mean, it's obviously working because they're programs that are producing really good players. So, but yeah, like I said, I'm not really far enough removed where I've really seen really that much of a difference between what we did back when I was in school and what's going on right now.
So moving forward to your time on the PBA Tour, you yourself and EJ Tackett just finish up competing the Roth Homan doubles. Talk about that experience for you guys. You came up just a little bit short, but still a great week for you in Indianapolis, and you guys bowled well all week. So talk about that experience for you, and then what's it like to have EJ as a partner, and then how do you guys go about picking who your partners is? Because certain people have every year they bowl with the same guy. Is that kind of how you and EJ came to be? Yeah,
well, EJ and I, it was my rookie year and his second year, decided to bowl doubles together, and then we parted ways for a year. He bowled with Rhino and I bowled with AJ, and then we found our way back together, and then him and I have a blast bowling together because we just on the lanes we worked so well. Like, we never let each other get on too much of an emotional high, but we never let each other get down. And I know he believes in me, and I believe in him as a partner, where if I'm struggling, he can hold me up and vice versa. And that's huge to have that chemistry and that trust in your partner, because if you just take two talented guys that don't know each other and put them together, there's no chemistry there. I mean, I put my money on the team that works well together and has the chemistry and has kind of the history together and knows how each other operates. So, just a combination of the talent, chemistry, and being able to work well together as a team creates the best double teams. And I feel like that's why me and EJ worked so well together for so many years.
Now, EJ, I know a lot of people know him for his rev rate, because it's one of the highest for somebody with their thumb in it. You forget about the fact that he's not large in stature, right? And he creates that much power with his thumb in it, and it's enormous. But I heard on the recent Flow Bowling, on when they were doing their coverage, that he actually is reputed to be one of the best spare shooters, especially when it comes to split conversions. Is that true?
That is absolutely true. Yeah, I mean, it's one thing to have all that power, but when you take the accuracy that he has too, that's why he's been so good in recent years. Him and I bowled together. We bowled. I think we bowled close in the singles event, and he bowled pretty well. And then, I think I saw him miss one single pin in the 30-something games we bowled with each other.
Wow.
And then in the doubles event, neither one of us missed a single pin the entire event. That's actually part of the reason we get there too. So, but yeah, he's looking at how violent his approach is, how powerful it is, you wouldn't think that he's as good of a spare shooter as he is. Especially, I've seen him make more 210s than just about anybody.
Mm.
So as we look forward to the World Series of Bowling right in your backyard, it has to be nice for you to be able to sleep in your own bed, go home every night after the tournament. What else are you doing, though, and what are you doing to prepare for the World Series, though?
Yeah, it's definitely nice being 15 minutes away and sleep in my own bed for a couple of weeks. So I'm going to enjoy that. Mm-hmm. And then I have some guys staying at the house, so that'll be a fun week. Well, I just got done driving from Detroit, so I'm using today as kind of a rest day and unpacking and getting everything together before the guys show up. I've had some success in this building before, so I'm really looking forward to this next week or so and see what happens.
And kind of circling back to your college bowling times, Marshall, Robert Morris University, how did you select them, and what kind of advice do you have for some of the kids trying to figure out what the right program is for them, or the right school? Do you look at the classroom? Do you look at the coach? Do you look at the players? Or what kind of advice do you have for them?
Well, I first started getting recruited by Dale Lehman at Robert Morris back in 2008, and he's one of the few that came up and approached me and talked to me about the program. And then from 2009, I missed the cut again, but again he was there and wanted to catch up on the year and see what changes I can make for the next year. And then 2010, I win the tournament, and even before I won the tournament, like this is beginning of the week qualifying, he comes up to me and says, "Hey, how's your year been?" Kind of catch up, and then at the end, after a won, we went out to dinner, and for me, it just kind of seeing how consistent he was at keeping it up with me before anybody else knew me. Like just the fact that he saw something in me a long time ago that took everyone else 2 years to kind of find, made the decision for me because, like I said, he believed in me long before any other college coach did. So. But my advice for high school athletes looking to go bowl for college, I personally, I've heard this a lot, and I believe it's true. First priority is your degree. Make sure the school you're going to has the degree you're searching for, and because there's going to be multiple schools with bowling programs that's going to have the degrees, but maybe some of the better programs bowling-wise don't have your degree school-wise, and I felt that bowling sometimes doesn't work out in college, but that degree will get you just about anywhere you want to go. So the degree is the biggest priority in college, and then second is which bowling program you want to go to, which coach you like. So that's a bit of advice I hear all the time. I personally agree with.
And then kind of looking back on it now that you have been out on tour for several years, what do you think was the most valuable either information or guidance or coaching that you can take away and attribute to your time bowling collegiately that's then helped you become the level of player that you are now?
I think the key to my success on tour has just been it hasn't really been one key. It's just been a combination of everything, just every little piece coming together. You have the good coaching, and then you have a good upbringing with a bowling center to go to, and then you have the their God-given talent, and just a combination of everything, I feel like, is what got me to where I'm at.
And Marshall, we always we'll talk to a player or a coach, and they say, make your spares, make your spares. When you're a high school bowler, what advice do you have for them, and even a collegiate player? But one of the things I'd like to maybe have you hit on a little bit, if you can, and I'm sure each bowler does this and handles this a little bit different, but what advice you have for that player when they're stepping up in level, whether it's high school to college to the PBA, because regarding transition, because your transition from, if you're bowling in high school, let's say, you might only be bowling on house patterns, or you might not have as much lane play as you do once you get to college, where you're bowling these long form tournaments and you see more urethane. Then you go up to the pros, where you're following a guy like EJ and Jason Belmonte, and you got all sorts of transition that you've never seen before. What advice do you have for someone trying to wade their way through those transition waters?
Yeah, so the spares is definitely huge. I know in my career, it's the reason I've made the cuts that I have before the past. For spares, I really focus on figuring out how to throw your spares hard and straight, because it's going to be the most consistent system from bowling center to bowling center to make your spares. And oil pattern, too. If you have a plastic ball and you throw it dead straight, you don't have to worry about it all of a sudden hooking too much at the end because you're bowling on short. So really get good at throwing spares straight and really get comfortable with it, because it's going to help you a lot in the long run. As for the transitions, it's very difficult, because there's definitely a learning curve with each one, like from GBTs in high school to college to the pros. There's definitely learning curves with each one, and my biggest piece of advice is really make sure you keep an open mind, because even though you might have had a great junior career, doesn't necessarily mean you know exactly what's going on in the college ranks. So just really keep your mind open to what your coaches might have to say, or what fellow players might have to say, and just, like I said, make sure past experiences don't hinder you, making you think you know what's going on when, there's 3 other possibilities that can work even better. So, and then the transition to tour, I feel like from what I've heard most people talk about, it takes about a 3 or 4 year learning curve before you really start to feel like you can consistently compete week to week. Like, I know some people come out and have a great rookie season, and then they come out and have a sophomore slump, and then have to learn for a couple more years before they really get to that, top 10 or player of the year caliber player. So, just ride the learning curves and keep an open mind, and, just push yourself to see how far you can get.
And that's great advice. I mean, we saw that. I think Chris Prather was even talking about that, about allowing some time to really kind of develop and learn. And boy, it's definitely paid some dividends. So thanks, Marshall, for joining us. Sure appreciate it. We'll definitely be rooting for you. Great finish there in the doubles, in the just recently completed. We'll be rooting for you there at the World Series of Bowling, and we'll look forward to having you on again.
All right, I look forward to that too. Thank you so much for having me on again, guys.